Hello, everybody, and welcome to the channel. Okay, so we're going to look at a plugin called Dehancer. What is Dehancer? What does it do? Well, in simple terms, it's a way of grading your footage to make it look more filmic, a bit more traditional, like older printed film stock. So we're going to look at this very simply. We're going to dive into DaVinci Resolve, and we're going to look at a couple of aspects of Dehancer and how you could possibly use that to help you in terms of your footage. If, like me in the past, probably not that much of a, into grading footage, spending ages on that. So sometimes you might want a quick fix or a way to create that look much easier than diving into the intricacies of color grading through DaVinci Resolve. So yeah, let's dive in and have a look. I've got my DaVinci Resolve open. I'm in the color tab. I've got a node here, just the one node. Got my footage here, obviously in this window. As we can see from a vector scope, we've got a balanced image in terms of the white balance. I have placed the Rec 709 on, so we've got our converted image to Rec 709. I've shot in Sony log. And first thing we're going to do is we're just going to create 2 or 3 more nodes. Now you can either right click and add a serial node, or you can use a command option S, like so. There we go. If you're not too au fait with nodes, don't worry too much, okay? Don't worry too much about running into the intricacies of those. I'm just going to show you some basics here today in terms of what you can do with Dehancer. The main thing you need to remember is that your footage is converted to Rec 709. If it's log, obviously. There are ways that you can grade your footage with Dehancer if you don't know what it's been shot in, or you don't know what the log profile is or whatever, but we're not going to go into that today. It's just in terms of Rec 709. Okay, so we need to place our Dehancer plugin on the last node, because whatever we do here before this node is going to affect the final node. We have serial nodes, so each one links into the other from left to right. Okay, so we go to the library. I'm just going to type in Dehancer, and there we've got a plugin. I'm going to drop that onto the last node. Just going to come down here and disable the tools. So here we've got our Dehancer sliders, etc. Came all the way to the bottom, and I just disabled all the tools there. So if I turn my node off, there's no change. Turn it back on, there's no change. The change is only there on that particular first node. Okay, so we come to the last node. So a couple of things we're going to look at. One of the strong points of Dehancer is the fact that it can give you film profiles similar to old analog stock. Nowadays, most footage is shot in digital, with digital cameras, etc. So that's what we're looking at. So this was shot with an FX30, shot in log. So we've got digital profile footage. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to come down to our profiles. So here we have our film profiles here. So on this tab here, we can drop it down, and we've got this particular window here. We've got a profile, push and pull, and a checkbox, enable and disable. To be able to use a profile, we need to enable. So if I click enable there, and we've got all these film profiles from Agfa through to Cine Still, Fuji, etc., Kodak, etc., etc. So there are dozens of these. And it's a case of going through and seeing what initially fits with the look or the style that you were trying to create with your film. Okay, so I'm going to come down to my profiles here that we've got in terms of film profiles. Now I'm going to come to this Kodak here, Vision 3 250D. Okay, so there, just by clicking that, you can see the change. If you go to my node, it's off. That's what it's on. Off, with it's on. And you can see straight away that the changes that there are. And to be fair, that doesn't look too bad straight out of the box. We can make some changes to that in terms of the push and pull. So that's enabled, and you can see the effect that the push does and the pull. So if I reset that, I'm going to bring that up a little bit there to there. So I'm fairly happy with that. Okay. So again, disable and enable. So straight away, you can see that that can make quite a dramatic change to your footage in terms of the look and the style. Next thing I'm going to come down to is I'm going to come down to grain. So one of the tabs here is grain tab. And again, there are various grain profiles that you can choose from. I'm going to come to a 35mm ISO of 50. I need to enable it. And again, if I disable and enable, you can see the grain that's been put in there. And obviously older footage, analog footage would have a natural grain in it. With digital footage, it's very common for during the grading process for them to add that grain at the end just to give it that more cinematic feel. You've got your slider here. The great thing about Dehancer, you can use the sliders to increase or decrease the effect that it's having. So if I increase, that would increase the grain. I need to enable it, make sure it's enabled. There we go. See how the grain dramatically increases up to 100. I'm going to bring that down. I'm going to bring it down to about around about there. Okay. If I turn that off and then turn it on, you can see the changes in that. That's quite nice. So those are two simple ways that you can change your footage from this digital footage here, which is just straight in the Rec 709, to my analog footage looking here. That might not be for everybody. What you could do is you could come to one of the nodes earlier. If you don't want to use some of the sliders in Dehancer, I could come to my color wheels. I could increase the contrast. So, you know, I can do the usual things. I can increase the saturation, shadows, so on and so forth. Just disable that. So whatever you do here will affect here. But what I've used Dehancer for is to give me that filmic, that analog look. Anyway, I'm going to cover more of these in future videos. So if you do like what you see, please like the video and share. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Thanks for now.